Okay, welcome to the second part of this explanation of when should I use present perfect without a length of time. So, remember that I said there are two times that you'll want to use present perfect without a length of time. One of them? Let's take a look at the first one. So, take a look at these sentences here. Let's read through them together. Has Mary ever visited Disneyland? Jill has never eaten sushi. Bill has lived in 5 different countries. Have you studied calculus? Bill has won many awards for his writing. Okay, now let's think about what these sentences have in common. Okay? Actually, take a minute and think. Do you see anything in common about the meaning or the time that these sentences are talking about? Pause if you need to take a little bit more time. But don't worry, I'm going to tell you the answer. Okay, all right, so the point that I want to make about all of these sentences is all of these sentences are talking about something that happened in a person's whole life. Let me show you a little bit more what I mean by that. If I say, has Mary ever visited Disneyland? It's really, when an American says that, it's like, in her life. And that means from the time that Mary was born until now, has she visited Disneyland? Jill has never eaten sushi. Again, I could add to that sentence, in her life. From the time she was born until now, she has never eaten sushi. Or, Bill has lived in 5 different countries. And again, I could add, in his life. Means from the time he was born until now, he has lived in 5 different countries. Have you studied calculus? And again, I could be asked, in your life. So if I want to know, sometime in your life, between the time you were born and now, have you studied calculus? I can say, have you studied calculus? Bill has won many awards for his writing. Again, I could say, the time frame here we're thinking about is in his life. Okay? Oops. Okay, oops. Didn't want those question marks there. So this is the first time that you want to use present perfect. When we are talking about something that happened, the time is not clear, but I mean in their whole life. From the time they were born until now, has this ever happened? Okay? So here, the first time, let's see here. I'm just going to write PP here because I don't think I have enough room, with no length of time. When I'm talking about a person's whole life. So if I want to ask, has Mary ever visited Disneyland in her life, I want to use present perfect. I don't have to say the words in her life. You can. It makes it a little bit clearer. You could also use the word ever. Ever also makes it clear that I'm talking about someone's whole life. If it's a question, I can use ever. I won't use it with a negative. Well, usually I don't use it with a negative statement or with a statement, a positive statement. But if I want to show, I mean in your life, in a question, I can use ever. And I can also just say, in her life. Jill has never eaten sushi. And again, if I mean in her life, then Um, I want to use present perfect. So if I'm talking about asking about something that has happened within someone's whole life, did this happen? Has this happened in their life? Or saying it never happened in their life, or saying that yes, it did happen in their whole life, then I want to use present perfect with no length of time. I can't use simple past. So I use present perfect with no length of time when I'm talking about a person's whole life. Bill has lived in 5 different countries, again, in his life. Have you studied calculus in his life? Because this is a question, if I wanted to, I could make it clear, even clearer, and add the word ever here, okay? Remember, for questions, I can make it clear that it's in his life if I say ever. Bill has won many awards for writing in his life. Okay, so I hope that point is clear. The book doesn't really talk about this, so it's a good thing to know. So again, the rule is, if I'm asking if someone has done something from the time they were born until now, or if I'm saying they never have done this from the time they were born until now, or if I'm saying they have done this sometime between the time they were born until now, when I'm talking about their whole life, then I need to use present perfect with no length of time. Okay. I hope that part is clear. So, actually, let me write that over here a little bit bigger. When I'm talking about something that happened and I'm thinking about it, that this happened between the time someone was born until now, in their whole life, I need to use present perfect with no length of time. Oops. Okay, so when I'm talking about something that happened between the time someone was born until now, and that's the time that I want you to think about. The time I want you to think about is the time they were born until now, then I need to use present perfect with no length of time. So if I say, Bill has won many awards for his writing, I mean, the time is not clear, but the time span I'm talking about is sometime in his life he has won many awards for writing. Have you ever studied calculus in your life? Okay, so when I'm talking about have you ever done this in your life, I need to use present perfect. I hope that's clear. Now let's go to the other time. Remember I said there were 2. So let me erase these. Let's see here. Smells wonderful. Let's see here. Let's see here. I have eaten dinner, which is true. Let's see here. Let's see here. Betty has cleaned her room. And let me see. Betty has cleaned her room, so it looks really nice. I really did. So the sidewalks are wet. Because it is rain. Okay, so let's take a look at these sentences here. I have eaten dinner, so I'm not hungry now. Betty has cleaned her room, so it looks really nice. The sidewalks are wet because it has rained. This is the second time that we very commonly use present perfect with no length of time in English. Now, in the first time, when we talk about the whole life, for that, I must use present perfect. With this one, you have a choice, and we'll talk about that. But first, let's look and see what what we have in common in these sentences. I have eaten dinner, so I'm not hungry now. Betty has cleaned her room, so it looks really nice. The sidewalks are wet because it has rained. Okay? Think about this. Can you see anything in common about the time that these happened? Pause if you want a moment to think. Okay, let me come back and tell you. So, I have eaten dinner, so I'm not hungry now. This means this must be pretty recent. It must be in the pretty near past if I'm not hungry now, right? So, this is recent. Betty has cleaned her room, so it looks really nice now, okay? So again, if it looks nice now, she probably cleaned her room pretty recently, not very long ago. The sidewalks are wet because it has rained. Again, if the sidewalks are still wet, it probably happened recently, not very long ago. So, let me write this up here. We often use present perfect for things that have happened recently. And again, I'll just put here, but the time is not clear. Remember, whenever I use present perfect with no length of time, the time cannot be clear. If I say the time, I need to use a past tense. So we often use present perfect tense for things that have happened recently, but the time is not clear. So here I say, I have eaten dinner, so I'm not hungry now. You know it's recent, but we don't know the exact time. Betty has cleaned her room, so it looks really nice. Again, we know it's recent because it looks really nice now, but the time is not clear. The sidewalks are wet because it has rained. Again, we know it is recent, but the time is not clear. Okay, so that is, that's the first point that I wanted to make clear here. I can use it when I want to show something recent, but the time is not clear. In this case, I'm just going to do this here. But in American English, and again, I've been told this is different in British English, but I don't know for sure if that's true. But in American English, I can also use simple past. In American English, I can also use simple past. So I could say, I ate dinner, so I'm not hungry now. I could also say Betty cleaned her room in American English, so it looks really nice. I could say the sidewalks are wet because it rained. And so for these things that happened recently, very often I can use simple past, okay? But very commonly, so let's review. A very common use of present perfect is this. Americans will often use present perfect to talk about things that have happened recently, but the time is not clear. However, it's also okay to use simple past. And remember again, if we say the time, I have to use past. Okay. There's one more possible thing I could say about that, but I think this is enough. I think this is enough for now. So we'll stop. I hope this was useful, and I will be back to explain there's one more point in chart 24, and that's about things that happen repeatedly within a length of time. And so we'll be back to talk about that sometime soon. I hope you found this useful.